the Christian and mental health. For some people, they find this title oxymoron. Why? Because for them, if you are a believer, you have the Holy Spirit. And if you have the Holy Spirit, there's no need for psychiatrists. All right, because the Holy Spirit in you will help you to remove every mental health problems in your life. Besides, mental health problems are never specified, are never mentioned in the Bible. Now, this logic is so flawed, all right, because when you and I are sick, even as believers, we have the Holy Spirit, but when we are sick, we will still see a medical doctor to treat our physical illness. You see, doctors are part of God's overall healing grace for us today. Psychiatrists are doctors for our mind. Now, just because mental health is not mentioned in the Bible, it does not mean that the condition is not in the Bible. Also, there are many conditions not mentioned in the Bible. For example, cancer, diabetes, computer addictions, and all sorts of addictions. Does that mean that the Bible has no solution for this? No. We believe that our Bible is more than enough to help us to overcome all these problems in our lives. You see, mental health issue is a complex issue because human is complex. What is mental health to begin with? Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It is more than just our thinking because we are all interconnected. Our thinking, our feeling, our ability to socialize, they are all interconnected. It affects how we think, how we feel, how we act. It also determines how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood to adolescence and all the way through adulthood. You see, over the course of our life, we can experience mental health problems, and it will affect our thinking, our mood, and our behavior. Now, many factors contribute to mental health problems. It includes our biological factors, such as the gene, our brain chemistry, life experiences, such as trauma, abuse, or family history of mental health problems. Mental health problems or mental health disorders are common, but help is available. And if you're watching this video, I want to encourage you to know help is available, both from the secular organization as well as from the church as well. Now, people with mental health problems can get better, and many recover completely. All right, so I hope that if you're watching this video, I hope that you find hope in God, that there's always hope in recovering for yourself or for your friends who are suffering with mental illness. Now, first and foremost, how do we define mental health problems, or how do we define mental health disorder? You see, a mental health disorder or problem causes significant changes in thinking, feeling, and behaving that affects a person's ability to relate, work, and engage in social activities. All right, so that's the definition of what a mental health disorder. It will affect us, all right, in such a way that we affects our ability to relate to people, our ability to work, and our ability even to relate in social setting. Some of us may ask the question, how is this even possible? How did this mental health problem started? Now, mental health problem is like any other sicknesses in our life. It is a result of sin in humanity. Not necessarily by the person who is sick, but due to the overall consequences of sin in humanity. Some of you may still think that, but there's no mental health disorder mentioned in the Bible. So let me just pause and share with you something. All right, these are the 9 criteria for doctors, counselors to examine a patient for depression. All right, so for example, low mood most times of the day, decreased interest or pleasure, changes in appetite, sleep issues, agitation or motor retardation, fatigue or loss of energy, feeling of worthlessness or excessive guilt, poor concentration, recurring suicidal ideas. Now, when the doctor used this checklist to look at a patient, and if a person exhibited 3 or 4 of these criteria, they will be treated for clinical depression. Now, based on this framework, can we find some biblical characters with possible state of depression? So let's take a look. Let's start with Old Testament. We can see many spiritual giants in the Bible who had struggled too. Moses, in Numbers 11:14 said this, I alone am not able to carry all these people because it is too burdensome for me. So if you are going to deal thus with me, please kill me at once. If I have found favor in your sight, and do not let me see my wretchedness. You see, if you look at Moses, at this stage of his life, you can see agitation, you can see fatigue, you can see suicidal ideation, you can see the sense of worthlessness. Let me just move forward again and look at another Old Testament character, Elijah. In 1 Kings 19:4, he said this, but he himself went on a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a juniper tree. And he requested for himself that he might die and said, it is enough. Now, O Lord, take my life, for I'm not better than my fathers. Again, you look at Elijah's life, you can see fatigue, you can see loss of pleasure, you can see suicidal ideation, you can see a sense of worthlessness. I'm not better than my fathers. All these show you that they fulfill the criteria. Then we move forward to New Testament. We look at Paul. In 2 Corinthians 1:8, Paul said this, for we do not want you to be unaware, brethren, of our affliction, which came to us in Asia, that we were burdened excessively beyond our strength, so that we despair even of life. So if you look at Paul's life, you can see at this stage of his life, he was going through stress, he was going through affliction, he was being burdened, not just burdened, he was being burdened excessively. All right, there's fatigue, and there's even the sense of despair, even of life, thinking of suicide. So just to look at these 3 examples, the question, based on this framework, can we find some biblical characters with possible state of depression? The answer is certainly yes. All right? Just look at another 4 person. Mother Teresa, Charles Spurgeon, D.L. Moody, John Calvin. What do they all have in common? Now, these are all spiritual giants, and yet they all had struggled with depression. So what does it tell us? It doesn't matter about your spirituality. You are not automatically immune from depression or mental illness. This is the picture taken about famous faces of depression of the world. And the other one is the famous people in Singapore that had depression. These are people who have lived in condition of depression. Now look at these established individuals. All right, people like Winston Churchill, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Florence Nightingale, Isaac Newton, Martin Luther. These are all Christians who struggled, who suffered with depression. And I like the statement there. Our sickness does not define us. Because all these individuals went on to live fulfilled life. All right, so I want to encourage us. Our sickness does not define us. All right, only God can define us. The question for you and I today is, how can we help? In order for you and I to help people with mental disorder, we need to develop new and deep learning. You see, superficial knowledge can be more harmful than good. So therefore, to effectively help someone, we need to know the fallen nature of man. We need to know what helps they can receive so that we can effectively help them. And to find out more, check out my next video. Thank you.